Good morning everyone, welcome to Baycroft Learn for this week. So this week we're going to take a break from algebra. Don't worry algebra fans, we will be back to that fairly soon. But I just want to kind of break it up a bit so we're not doing everything in one lump. So this week we are going to do HCF and LCM. Highest common factor, lowest common multiple. Now you're already very familiar with these because we do a lot of retrieval on this stuff, not only because it's going to be really useful for you in your GCSE, but also they're quite good in terms of developing your basic number skills, which is why I like revisiting these, because they're things that everyone can do and can get quite a lot out of. So we are just going to go through the process on understanding how we find both the highest common factor and lowest common multiple. As soon as I start doing this, you're going to recognise it immediately. So highest common factor. Firstly, what do we mean by factors? Factors are numbers which divide into another number wholly, in other words, without leaving any decimal. Now that's kind of the official definition, but an easier way of thinking of factors is two numbers that multiply together to make another number. So for example, if we're taking 12, 6 times 2 equals 12, so 6 and 2 are factors of 12. But as GCSE students, we need to make sure that we've got a process so that we capture all of the factors. And I always teach this the same way. Again, as soon as I start, you'll recognise it. So finding all of the factors of 24. So the first ones that are obvious are 1 times 24. We know where we're going next, don't we? The next number we want to put is 2 times 12. Okay? 3 times 8. 4 times 6, 5 times, well 5 doesn't work because if we divide 24 by 5 we end up with a decimal, so we can cross that one off. And then what's the next number we're going to put on? 6. 6 times 4. Well, 6 times 4, 4 times 6, it's the same thing, so we know we are finished. So we can cross that off as well, and all of the factors of 24 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12 and 24. You'll recognise that, so I'm not going to go do another example like that. We are, however, just going to look at what we mean by HCF, or highest common factor. I'm not even going to do this example because you do know how to do it. Just to remind ourselves, the highest common factor is the biggest number that appears in both lists. So what we're going to do is find the factors of both of these numbers. So 1 times, oops, no, I don't like that. Let's get rid of the red. 1 times 18, 2 times 9, and I'm going to keep going until I've got all of my factors of 18. Then I'm going to do a 30, so 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and I'm going to keep going until I've found all of the factors of 30. I'm going to compare the lists, and whichever number appears in both lists, the biggest number that appears in both lists is my HCF, okay? And that's it. That's all I think I'm going to talk about there. Yes, it is. And there's not much more to it than that really, other than sometimes in a GCSE paper you might get the highest common factor of 3 numbers. But you just have to do exactly the same process. Okay, so what's the next one? LCM. This is even easier. Okay, I say even easier. Highest common factor isn't easy, don't get me wrong. But again, you will recognise this straight away, okay? Because this is essentially just our times tables. The lowest common multiple is the lowest number that appears in 2 lists of numbers. So what are the multiples of 6? It's just our 6 times table. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30 and on, okay? What are our multiples of 7? 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, and we will keep going until we find the lowest number that appears in both lists. If you do not bump into a number which is identical in both lists, you just keep writing out your multiples until you do identify one, okay? Now, what's your 14 times table like? Probably about as bad as your 21 times table. But let's just think about this. We're not going to be able to, even if you're amazing at your times tables, Zach, you're not going to be able to rattle off your 14 times table immediately, probably. But what are multiples? Multiplication, it's just repeated addition. So we can use our columns for this. So 14, I need to find the next lot of 14. Well, that's going to be 28. 28 add another 14 might be tricky. So I'm just going to do column addition. 8 plus 4 is 12, 2 there, 1 down here, 2, 3, 4, 42. 42, add 14. I'm going to use my columns again, and I'm going to do the same with the 21s until I find the lowest number that appears in both lists. I'm not going to do any more detail than that because we cover this quite a lot, as I say, but it's a really, really good one to keep in our minds, okay? Enjoy it. Make sure that you do the revision work from last week as well, and have a great half term.